This video is going to walk you through the different steps you need to take in order to complete the transformation project from beginning to end. So the first thing you need to make sure that you have is you have your packet with your directions. We're going to go through step by step with this and your graph paper for how to complete part 1, and then I will walk you through what to do for part 2. You need to, maybe when it's time for part 2, refer back to the video. You can skip past part 1 obviously to make sure that you're doing this correctly, so it'll make it easier on me to grade your projects and get them back to you faster. So the first thing we need to do, you see step 1 there, is to draw a coordinate plane on your graph paper. Let me switch over here. So I've got my graph paper. Now it doesn't matter, you can either draw this vertical or horizontal, that doesn't matter. So I'm going to go ahead and do mine horizontal. The main thing is when you draw your coordinate plane, use a straight edge, number 1, and number 2, center it in the middle of the paper and use the blue lines to put your coordinate grid on there. Okay, I'm going to do it in pencil first, but it's not a bad idea to go back once you've done the coordinate plane. Go back over this with a pen, not a Sharpie, because a Sharpie bleeds unless you have a thin Sharpie. To go back over this because you're going to be doing some erasing. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and label my XY axis. I can go ahead and go by ones, or I can just go every 2. I'm going to go every 2 lines. Count. So I'll go 2, 4, 6. Once you have everything labeled, nice and neat, so it's easy for somebody to come along and use your coordinate grid, because that's what's going to happen here. The next thing we need to do, if we go back to our directions, we need to think about what picture we're going to make. It needs to be, you notice down here, no more than 20 points, no less than 15 points. So we don't want anything too elaborate because you don't want it to take people too long. But what I'm going to be doing, one thing it does say is to remember that everybody's going to be using a straight edge to complete these. So curved lines, you can do it, but say like I wanted to make a moon up here. Switch over here. If I wanted to make a moon, like a crescent moon like this, one of the things to remember is that they're going to be using a straight edge. So if I want to put dots on here, I need to go every, let's see here. Oops, there went my lights. I need to make sure that I have dots that I can put here for them to follow. We want to make it symmetrical as much as possible so that when they use a straight edge, they'll go along there like this and it'll approximate a curve. So maybe down here I'll go like this. I don't even need this dot. There we go. Okay. So there's my moon. You'll notice even if I use straight edges, it works quite well. Notice I'm drawing very lightly because I'm going to come through here and erase this here in a second. So make sure that you do that lightly. Down here, I'm going to need some more points. Down here, I'm just going to do a house. So I'm going to put my first. I'm going to just kind of sketch this in first. Again, sketching very lightly. I'm just going to do something simple. It's not going to be enough to satisfy the requirements of the project, but it'll be enough to get you an idea of how this works. Okay, so I sketch it in. Okay, and notice what else I did. Where 2 blue lines meet, I've kind of centered my picture on the blue lines so that it'll be easier for me to do step 5, which is to write down all these coordinates in order on my my worksheet here. Let me pull up that worksheet. Okay, so here's my worksheet, and my job is going to be to come through here on the original coordinates and write these in. So I'm going to pull out my worksheet and lay this next to it. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in order. Now, a couple things to keep in mind here. Whoever's going to come through and draw this in is going to connect the dots after every point they make. So if at any time, if I don't want them to connect the house, draw a line connecting the house to the moon, that's going to show up if I draw the coordinate 6, 3, and then I go straight to 13, 7. If I don't write something down that tells them, hey, pick up your pencil, they're going to draw a line connecting that, and that's not what I want. So when I get to that point in my directions, what I'm going to do, if I want them to pick up their pencil, get rid of this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the word stop. If I write the word stop, that means that they have to pick up their pencil before drawing the next point. So let's just go in order here. I'm going to start with I'd say let's start with the moon. So the first point on the moon is 13, 13. I'm just going to go in order down from 13, 13. This is 14, 12. And then 15, 11. 15, 10 is an unnecessary point, so that would not count toward my total because I don't need it there. 15, 9. Make sure you go back to 13, 13 because you want to make sure that we connect from here back to the point we started with. Then I'll write the word stop next to that last point so that they pick up their pencil before moving on to the house down here, which is the next one I will do. I'm going to start at this point right here, 4, 5. Then I need this line here to connect back to the top, so I've got to rewrite 4, 5, and I will write the word stop next to this because I don't want them to connect the tip of the house down to here. The next thing I'll do is I'll go back to this point because I'm going to go from here down to here, across, and across. And then I'm done. I'll have all the lines drawn that I want that are seen on my little picture here. Notice I have 17 points. That's between 15 and 20. I'm going to write my name on this. I'll write my section. Okay, and that is it. What you need to do now is you're going to take this and you're going to put it, you're going to take this and you're going to erase your drawing. Try and erase as thoroughly as possible. That's why I told you to draw light, so that people won't really have any hints as to where you put your original drawing. Okay? Draw as lightly as possible and erase as thoroughly as possible. Okay, so now I just have a piece of paper with my coordinates on it, and I have my original graph. Okay, what you're going to do then, you're going to take this over to the counter and you're going to put it in, you're going to staple these together. Okay, staple these together or paper clip them. Stapling is probably safer up in the corner here. And you're going to put them in the top shelf because you are ready. The top shelf is labeled ready for first quadrant. Okay, so ready for first quadrant. You'll put it up there. Somebody's going to come along and grab that, and they're going to graph your first quadrant graph and put it in the second bin called ready for the second quadrant. When you get to that point, we'll be ready for part 2. So that's it for part 1. Go ahead and get your transformation project done for part 1, and then watch the part 2 clip that's going to walk you through how to get the rest of your project complete and how you're going to help your classmates to complete their part 2 as well.